once you figure out that why, then you're gonna figure out why certain people is richer than others. I think that's the biggest why I found out. Why people way more richer than other people. State. And when I first got into real estate, I ain't think knowing why I wanted to do real estate, was even important. Hell, I ain't even feel the need to explain myself. Like, why would I do real estate? Fuck, does it matter? Like, I want to just do it. But over the years, I done had to realize that my why in real estate is what uh, put me where I am today and what got me, so successful at real estate and so fast because I haven't done real estate all my life. You must have been following me, or if you want a quick backdrop on my story, I just spent the last almost 6 years in prison prior to 2018, and then prior to 2011, I did like a year and a half. So I've been dealing with the system for over the last maybe I'm about to be 34. Been dealing with the system for over the last 20 some years, and I'm only in my 30s. So if that explains to you as fast as I can without having to go deep into it. So I haven't always done real estate. But when I first got out of prison, my why for doing real estate was simply I had a point to prove. Like I wanted to show people that just because I went to prison, that didn't define me. Just because, I had over 20 some years, that didn't define me. And even getting out with stipulations, because that was the worst part, is getting out of prison after doing all that time and still got more time to give these people, even on the outside. So, needless to say, like I said, I had a point to prove. I was working a job. I was doing everything right. I was doing it by, the American book, if that's what you want to call it. I was doing everybody else's way, which, like I said, was the legit way. And by me going to prison for selling drugs, most people thought that was my only outlet or that was the only thing I was good at when that was far from what I was good at. I mean, anything that make a dollar, I'm gonna be into it. And I'm gonna make sure I don't leave until I've made a few dollars more than what I originally did when I first started doing it. And that's even including shit that I don't even care about doing no more. Like I'm just a serial entrepreneur. I'm gonna give everything a shot that makes sense to me. So I guess that takes me to my next point of my why in real estate. So like I said, I got out, point to prove, whatever, worked the job, did all this, but at the end of the day, I'm like, this shit ain't adding up. I felt like I was back in prison again. I felt like I was back in slavery, which working that job, it really wasn't no different from, sitting in prison all those years. In fact, I even consider going back to just do the remainder of my time to be done with the system on the outside, really stopping me and hindering me from doing legitimate businesses that I could have done, including real estate, which I'm gonna get to in a minute, by me being on all these stipulations because everything that I scheduled out for or wanted to do as a business investment, they thought it was somehow tied to illegal activity, which they had their right to think that, whatever the case may be. I ain't here to dispute that. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, it was all legitimate, and real estate was one of those business. I used to have to schedule out just to go view a house. And then they gave me limited time. I couldn't really check it out like I really wanted to because they was against me going to residence, just due to my criminal history of having trap houses and, whatever the case may be. So like I said, I I missed a few deals just because I put in an offer, I had my realtor put in an offer, but I didn't hear back from my case managers or whatever fast enough to be able to go view the house. So in turn, it was sold to somebody else. So they hindered a lot. So my whole thing with telling you this story is to say my why in real estate continually changed just based off of my determination, my point that I wanted to prove, and whatever I wanted to achieve at the moment. So, like I said, the numbers just simply made sense as I'm working this job and like, okay, so how much it take to get into real estate and what do I got to do? I educated myself, man. I spent thousands and thousands on courses, mentorships, one-on-ones. You know, you you do the math. So I learned to educate myself first and foremost. So what was the qualifications to buy my first house? And usually when a person buy their first house, it's FHA. You know, you got certain guidelines you got to follow. You got to do X, Y, Z. And I qualified for that because I had held my job long enough. My credit score was A1. Uh, had plenty of money in the bank to close. Down payment amounts. You know, just all the qualifications I met. So in turn, I went for my first house, but the house I particularly wanted, it had certain things wrong with it that didn't qualify for FHA, such as it didn't have a furnace in it. Because I'm looking in the trenches. I wasn't looking in the suburbs for my first home. I didn't want my first home to be what I consider most people dream home with the white picket fence, you know, and all that, which I'm not against it, but that wasn't what I was trying to get into real estate to do. So I ain't care nothing about that. So the house didn't have no hot water heater in it. And people was vandalizing there or whatever the case may be. So, and the owner was out the country, not out the state investor. He was all the way out the country living his best life. So he ain't caring nothing about that house in the hood. It was just passive investment for him. So, and once the problems start kicking in with neighbors doing vandalizing it, stealing stuff out of it, he like, all right, I'm done. I don't care nothing about it. I want to get rid of it. But it was in a damn good area where the values is constantly going up, even still to this day. I still got that house. So, but it changed my loan because they like, okay, we're not getting that house if it don't got a hot water heater, boom, boom, blah, whatever the case may be. And I said, I still want it, which made my down payment more because now I'm an investor. I ain't no FHI, I ain't no first time home buyer. So I think I ended up spending them there close to 22,000 on this house. Where had I just kept my FHA loan in place and said I was a first time home buyer, I could have got that house for anywhere between 3 to 5 grand, maybe, probably less than that, because the interest rates was so low at the time. I think it was only like 3%, whereas now it's 7. So I end up buying that property. And even though it costed me more than I initially wanted to pay or should have paid for the house, I was still satisfied with it. Why? Because it was a duplex. And I told myself when I got into real estate, I wasn't doing single families or, you know, a bunch of flips or nothing. I just wanted to build a bunch of real estate portfolio, and I wanted to do it the fastest way as possible, which was at the time I could have bought an apartment unit. I could have, you know, did a few things, but I chose a duplex and it worked out for me. So I just continue to build my profile like that with duplexes after duplexes after duplexes until, like I said, the income that was coming in from the properties allowed me to quit my job because the paycheck they was paying me to bust my ass at a trash company and as a CDL driver, it didn't make sense. Whereas I could sit on my ass if I wanted to and collect the rental income, and you know, I'm good. It was the same amount, so I'm like, that's a no-brainer. Well, I'm gonna keep busting my ass for, so I quit that and just focus solely on real estate. Okay, so back to the whole topic of this video, and that's my why in real estate. Like I said, it continued to change because my first why was I had a point to prove. My second why was the job felt like slavery when I was working, trying to do it the legitimate way, and still is doing it the legitimate way. But like I said, so once I was able to accumulate enough real estate portfolio that matched what my job was paying me every month, I was able to quit. So what was my next why? My next why was my family, which that was my main why throughout it all. But it really became my why once I quit my job because now I wanted to be able to spend time with my kids while not being stressed out about how I'm going to pay the bills or how I'm going to take care of things if one of my tenants don't pay, you know, they rent on time. So that was always the risk of it all. Was most people don't do real estate investments as a landlord because it's a lot to deal with when you're dealing with tenants. They calling about any and everything and, you know, just whatever. So, but I got other videos on that. You have to go to them. But like I said, my why being my family, but not wanting to, you know, disappoint them or let them down, it became, how can I ensure that I can spend this time with them without having to worry about these bills, or having to get another job because it didn't work out the way that I thought it was. Then you got to take into account, like I said, working a job felt like prison. The actual prison experience caused me to miss out on so much time with my family, and then to come home from prison after missing so much time with your family, only to work long hours at your job, 12 and 14 hours. That's pretty much your whole day. You ain't got no time to do nothing once you come home from work. You ain't trying to play with them, and still got to cook, clean, take a shower, get ready for the next day. That shit was miserable. So, like I said, the job felt like prison all over again. So once I was able to quit both of them, I was now able to buy back some of that time that I lost in my mind with my family. Okay, and if I had to give you another why, I would just simply say my nature. My why was my nature, which my nature is I like doing things my way. And it's not to say I don't know I follow rules or whatever, because I follow rules good. Even working a job, I work jobs the way I would want people to work for me. So that's never been an issue for me. Like, in fact, even the prison experience did that, flying colors, no write-ups, never got in trouble, whatever the case may be. So I just like doing things my way, and even showing the masses who think you can't do something as an entrepreneur, or you can't do something legitimately because you've been accused of illegal shit in the past. Um, you know, I just simply like doing things my way, and real estate allowed me to do that. Whatever type of house I want built, or any repairs I need made, you pretty much know how I want it done. And if you can't do that, then it's always 1,000 or even 1,000,000 other people that can. But outside of just doing things my way, like I said, I want to wake up when I feel like it. I wasn't trying to be, tortured by no alarm clock going off, and I'm hating getting up for this job every fucking single day, punching in. So doing it my way was, like I said, quitting this job and showing them why I felt it need that I quit it to, take on real estate full time. And I'm sure it was many of people like, he a fool. He think it's gonna work, and this gonna happen, whatever. He's gonna lose his real estate, or whatever the case may be. And by the grace of God, it hasn't happened. In fact, my real estate portfolio only continue to accumulate even while we making this video right now. It's adding to my real estate portfolio. And all I'm gonna say is, know your why if you're gonna get into real estate. Know your why if you're gonna do any business, because knowing your why is is more important than what I even originally thought it was. And now that I reflect back on my life, knowing my why is why I'm where I am today. And where I am today is in a way better space than I've ever been in my life. So it allows me to make these videos for y'all. It allows me to have the free time that I always wanted for my kids, my family, my wife, and just to being able to do whatever I felt like doing. Because outside of real estate, I didn't wrote books, I didn't got my CDLs, I didn't done this, I didn't done that. Too much stuff to even name, and not all of it was successful. Some of it flopped, but I learned lessons from it to make the next business that much better and that much stronger, and to produce that much more money for me. So, like I said, figure out your why before you do anything. If you don't know your why, you pretty much gonna let somebody else that's doing the business already take advantage of you, or tell you anything, because they know you don't know what you're doing, obviously, because you don't even know why you're doing it. So definitely know your why before you get into this and any other business, like I just said. And if you need help finding out what your why is, I do one-on-ones, coaching. Reach out to me, whatever. And once you figure out that why, then you're going to figure out why certain people is richer than others. I think that's the biggest why I found out. Why people way more richer than other people. It's a lot of people operating not knowing they why they doing any fucking thing in life. So figure out your why.